Oh, why now? What can it do when you Francis for mommy. Madam, I know why I'm man. What's a Lydian? What the enemy, sister, system. I could have told when I did Bonnie. Oh, make it a total that you come a kumum comes from. Oh, why now? What can it do when you Francis for mommy. Madam, I know why I'm man. What's a Lydian? What the enemy, sister, system. I could have told when I did Bonnie. Oh, make it a total that you come a kumum comes from. Oh, why now? What can it do when you Francis for mommy. Madam, I know why I'm man. What's a Lydian? What the enemy, sister, system. I could have told when I did Bonnie. Oh, make it a total that you come a kumum comes from. Oh, why now? What can it do when you Francis for mommy. Madam, I know why I'm man. What's a Lydian? What the enemy, sister, system. I could have told when I did Bonnie. Oh, make it a total that you come a kumum comes from. Oh, why now? What can it do when you Francis for mommy. Madam, I know why I'm man. What's a Lydian? What the enemy, sister, system. I could have told when I did Bonnie. Oh, make it a total that you come a kumum comes from. Oh, why now? What can it do when you
165. When it comes to murders in 2019, we recorded 153 murders. In 2020, it also reduced a bit. Then in 2021, from January to June, we came to 72. So the 2020 figure was actually 85. So it means that it was going on a downward trajectory. But if from January to June we're recording 72, then clearly it means that by the end of the year, the figure might spike a little bit. When it comes to murders, there was the abduction of a 1.5-year-old boy at Bukrom who was also murdered, if you remember that story, in an uncompleted building. Then in 2019, there was the incident of Santa Pre, where 5 men were also murdered. In May 2021, a 25-year-old watermelon seller, Sabina Boadu, was also murdered. Her left breast was gone. Some fingers were taken off, her toes and another parts of her body were cut off. But even interestingly, all the items in her purse were intact. So clearly it means that they were not after her money or anything. When it comes to April 2021, I remember the story vividly. The day it was very chilling for me. From the Asokwa, Adansene Asokwa in the district, where a 16-year-old GHS1 student, Grace, was butchered on her way to the farm. Apparently, she had come from school and was going to the farm to get some food stuff to come and cook. She was 16. She was found naked on the farm. Her blouse and skirt were intact, but her panty was missing. And the police on the scene said they found some sperm around her private part. When it comes to the final one, there were also the several reports of missing persons in Offenso. Erastus again followed up on these stories, and it included a 4-year-old who was called Dauda Ahassan. And there were about 4 of them who got messages. It's like... it's sad, but the Parkos one, David, when you were speaking to Erastus, and yesterday I was listening to him on Joy News, I was wondering, if you see something, you say something. Why have they allowed this guy? Because per the accounts, it's like it's something he's been doing. It's almost like a norm.
Yeah. So you know what? Let me bring back this audio. Listen to the first 2 words that this young man Erastus spoke to said. Take a listen to the first 2 words.
So Yehuno,
young can't girl no. So if you told the girl this, maybe she might have been alive right now.
And David, I think beyond the guy, the people living close to the house need to be interrogated. Maybe we should ask Dr. Jones, because clearly it's like they are complicit to these crimes. How can you say that someone brings people, do whatever they like with them, and when the person recruits new people to come to his room and all that, you people are just watching on?
So we have Dr. Jones Opokuwari on the line. He's a lecturer with the Sociology Department, KNUST, and also a criminologist. Doc, good morning to you, sir.
Good morning to you, David, and how are you?
Well, I'm okay, Doc. Thanks for asking. So we've catalogued a few of the murders that has taken place, in the region for you. And just to add to what Eugene touched on, there was one that happened at Swami where we're told that it had to do with some weed smoking gang members who stabbed one person stabbed the other, around Swami. That was barely some 3 weeks ago. We know of Nyenche Nyase where a man stabbed to death the wife. The wife was 3 months pregnant and all that. What do you make of these killings that is ongoing, in our region?
Wow. Thank you so much, Dave, and very good morning to you and your listeners and also your viewers. I think my first comment is that these patterns are quite worrying. I mean, murders all over the world are not crimes that really excite anybody. In fact, it is said that murders have the greatest of impact on people because of the kind of effects and anxiety it creates in the psyche of people all over the world. So looking at the patterns as we are having them, it is quite worrying. And I think that as a country, we must begin to, up our game in terms of being able to combat these kind of murders.
When you say up our game, what do you mean? What should we be doing?
Yes, there are a number of things we have to do because, you see, the kind of patterns we are seeing suggests to me that the murder cases are very different. So, for instance, you have a variety of murders, or let me say type of murders that we keep experiencing. So it is very important that we look at the ingredients of murders that we are witnessing. In fact, David, most of the time when it comes to a crime like murder, it is very difficult for you to actually pinpoint a particular cause. to them. Because you see, there are so many type of factors that come in time and space to actually influence any pattern of murder that we see. For instance, we have murders such as homicides. Okay, those that are caused within the home, maybe it could be as a result of crime of passion, murders that are related to passion and relationship and all that. So you can see that if you look at the patterns we observe in Ashanti region, have a number of spousal murders. Okay, these are mostly crimes of passion, crimes that are related, or murders that are related to relationships and marriages and all those kind of things. We also have robberies that may have gone wrong, where people go on robbery spree, and then in the course of the process, people maybe resist, and then they are shot or they are killed. You may also have serial murders, okay, where we have these kind of guys with very interesting traits, okay, who just love the thrill of killing people. We have those guys, and then we have ritual murders, okay, and then we have what we call the contract killings or the contract murders. So depending on the ingredients of the crime or the murders, it demands a certain kind of approach that as a people and as law enforcement agencies and all that, they have to be able to devise strategies to be able to combat them.
Help me with the response to this question. Is this something that has been with us for long, or something that is just about creeping into our society?
Well, murders have been with us for a long time. In fact, we can trace murder patterns even to biblical times when we talk about Cain and Abel, Cain, murdering the brother. And in our society here, it's been with us. Just that over time, we are seeing a certain level of consistency in the patterns. And it could also be because most of the patterns, as we are seeing them, are very violent in nature. And the fact that we have this extensive media coverage also creates a certain pattern of increases as we have it. So it's been with us. We all know, for instance, issues of ritual murders have been with us for some time. We know issues of people killing their wives have been with us. In fact, it is cases like serial murdering that seems to, surprise many in this country because, it's not something that the police normally talk about when it comes to, murders, except the case of Atayi and those people that we said were serial murders. And recently in the Abisim case, remember when the Abisim case came and people were talking about ritual murders, I said that, look, looking at the ingredients of that crime, I suspect the guy to be a serial killer because of the kind of, murder pattern that he executed. So you see that all these kind of patterns have been with us. Just that, as I said, there's now the consistency of them and also the violent nature that they seem to have taken over the period. And that is creating that kind of anxiety and patterns that we are seeing.
Well, listeners, I plead with you to join us on Facebook and drop comments when you join us on Facebook. And I don't know, what runs through my mind is whether we're becoming more violent or more intolerant, because some of the things that we see, some of the things that we hear and we read about, baffles me. And I'm sure other people are also baffled by it. Join us on Facebook and get to see some of the things that people are doing. Viewer discretion is advised, though. But in all this, I would like to hear from you as well. Send us your voice notes to 055 995. That is a number you can send your voice notes to. How do you feel when you hear about all these killings, all these murders? What goes on in your mind? How does that make you feel? Share your thoughts with us. Let's hear from you. Now, Doc, let me ask this question. Do they drop any hints or signs that, well, they might be harming, somebody? Because, like you rightly said, there has been some spousal killings. So could the wife, for example, be able to say or tell that, well, based on these behaviors or signs, I need to be mindful, like what happened at Nyaze where a 3-month-old woman was killed by the husband?
Okay, so for crimes like spousal killings, or let me say those kind of homicides, there are always signs. Okay, so if, for instance, you are living with a husband, you realize that the pattern normally start with abuse, and it can be verbal abuse and physical abuse. It also may involve issues of accusations of, let's say, infidelity and all that. So there's always that signal. And once these kind of accusations, for instance, come, there's what we call strain and stresses. Okay, so in those kind of relationships and marriages, you see the strains and stresses manifesting. people get so frustrated, and once they get frustrated, they begin to now exert aggression on people. So there are always signs. So the aggression may normally take emotional abuse, physical abuse, and then physical threat of harm, and then death. So most of the time, these are the signals I encourage, people, especially women, to pick once they are in relationships and in marriages, and they see some of these strains and stresses creeping up within the relationship. So there are always signs. For instance, for spousal murders, there are some kinds of murders. For instance, the serial killing. If I look at the case of the Pacoso, okay, I look at the ingredients of the murder based on the information I have. It suggests to me that this is a guy who actually has serial killing tendencies. Because you see, we are told that this guy had been convicted before for a crime like rape. And if you look at the patterns and the issues that came before this one, he's been bringing people there and inflicting harm on them. So it tells you that this is a guy with a certain behavioral trait that predisposes him to murder. And so it is some of these things that always we have to pick up. And I was very sad to hear. I think I heard OT saying that the community members said that they knew he's been doing that, but yet they didn't act on it. And for me, that is very, very pathetic, because I've always been advocating that, look, within communities, we always have to deploy our social support systems, our network of ties, okay, where every time we are able to be each brother's keeper, where we are able to observe people within the communities and the kind of behavior they display. So once you are able to do that, we are able to come to the aid of people even before the crimes are committed. But once we don't do that, and we see that this person is doing this, but yet we look unconcerned, trust me, we are going to have a number of these patterns always showing up within our communities.
Can any of them be held complicit? Because, like you said, I've been saying it all morning, that when we hear something or we see something, we need to say something. Now, if you listen to the audio we played, the first two words were, we knew what he was about, but we didn't tell the lady. I'm sure if they had said something, this lady would have been alive by now. But can anybody be held complicit for knowing some information and not sharing?
In fact, if it was in other countries, I could say yes, because they could be charged with accessory to crime or to murder. Because you knew something, you knew this person has a tendency or has been doing this, and yet you all kept quiet. Okay, but for Ghana, in our situation now, I find it quite difficult if we will be able to, bring anybody, to it, in terms of making them to account. Because even for the perpetrator himself, I'm skeptical as to whether our judicial system will be able to take him through the whole entire, judicial process.
Why
because
so?
As I've told you over the period, my research tells me that about 80% of murder cases in this country are unresolved. And this includes murder cases where we have strong evidence linking the suspect to the crime. Okay, so if we have all these, but yet those crimes are not resolved, those murders are not resolved, what is the guarantee that even the suspect in this case will be brought to justice and then justice given to the victim and the family of the victims?
So let's try and find solutions to preventing some of these things. And you made mention about the fact that they drop hints, they drop signs. So for spousal murders, what should a spouse do? What should, let's say, a wife do when some of these signs are noted by her? Because sometimes they just take it lightly.
Exactly. You see, and David, you see, there is this issue. It is actually a very complex issue. Because you see, when even we go into marriages, how are people, socialized into marriages? We are told that when you marry, everything should be between you and your husband. The third person shouldn't hear about whatever happens. So you realize that there are a lot of people in this country who are going through many marital problems, a lot of marital abuses, but yet have kept quiet about them. Because people are made to understand that a marriage is supposed to be between you and your husband. And yes, so you see, once you have that kind of conceptualization and mindset, many people go into marriages with so many problems. They will experience a lot of problems and yet keep quiet about them. So I am advising everybody, look, once you are in a marriage, in a relationship, for instance, and you see a number of abuses, either from your husband or your wife, please begin to talk about it. You need to talk about it. You need to confide in people. You need to share with people. And also, you have to be on the lookout for certain signs. Once somebody begins to abuse you physically and also emotionally, and the person begins to even threaten you, that, look, I'm going to harm you, I'm going to kill you, it's just a matter of time that the person will carry through all those threats and those actions. So please, it is something that we have to always be on the lookout for. Once we begin to experience these kind of signs, we have to start talking to people. We have to start discussing the issues. And I also want to talk to the police, especially the DOSU unit. Please, when people bring family issues, especially those that involve, marital abuse and all that, they shouldn't treat it as a family matter. Because, you see, most of the times, certain crimes that happen in marriages and relationships go unresolved because it is treated as private matters that are supposed to be dealt with at the family level. We must elevate that kind of, conversation and make it that, look, these kind of crimes are actually crimes that have been solved within the judicial process. It is only that we can prevent some of these things from happening.
How about those who engage in, let's say, prostitution, and they might have a client and may follow the client to a place? And in some instances, for example, this Pakuso story, we hear that this gentleman, Nana Bonsu, brings home prostitutes and, he stabs them, he robs them of their valuables and all that. For somebody who's into such a trade, or even if you have met somebody, a prostitute, you've met somebody you are interested in and you're following the person to a place, how can you stay safe?
Yeah, so most of the time it's very important. Those people who are in, they may want to, give their location and their contacts to their friends and colleagues, so that people will get to know where they are. I mean, if I were them, ideally, I wouldn't follow people to their homes. Okay? And now look, history is replete with people, especially prostitutes, okay, who have been murdered by people for just doing that kind of work. In fact, if you read on the work of the story of Jack the Ripper, this was a guy who normally picked, prostitutes from the streets, raped them, and then eventually murders them. In fact, he is considered as one of the top serial killers in history. Okay, we call him Jack the Ripper. So most of the times, people in prostitution normally get predisposed to serial murdering. And so it is very important that people in that kind of trade, okay, once they begin to ply their trade, it's important they give their information to their friends, their location, where they are going, and if they will listen, they shouldn't follow people to their homes. They should go and do whatever they want to do, either in a hotel or somewhere where there can always be public view and public eye on them.
What's your own assessment of our society now? Would you say that we're becoming more violent and more intolerant?
Dave, there are a number of things that are happening. Okay, our society is changing. The strains and the stresses within the society is increasing, and it's becoming more and more over the period. Okay, and now when society becomes so strained and people become frustrated, and it creates this kind of aggression. Okay, every time. So there's something we call the frustration aggression principle, where the more people are subjected to, strains and stresses, okay, they become aggressive. So you can see that over a period, even small things seem to irritate people. And now let's also not forget that if you look at the patterns of murders that we've seen in the country, especially between 2020 and 2021, you see that there's been an increase. Okay, what tells you that there may be some factors? And for me, I'm looking at the issues of the pandemic. Okay, the more people were confined, once people stay in close proximity for a long period of time, they are confined. They become unease. There's always that kind of unease, and things easily irritate them. So all these kind of things could be factors over the period. So there are a number of things that are happening that are creating this kind of frustrations within people and strains and stresses. And these things can actually, predispose people to aggressive behavior, such as, killing people and murdering them.
Doc, hold the line for me, because you talked about the fact that about 80% of these murders are unresolved. I have a question on that for you, so hold the line for me. I'll still encourage our audience to join us on Facebook, because sometimes when you see some of these things, it speaks to you more than when it's just you hearing words. So we want to share with you the visuals we have, and so join us on Facebook, LUV 99.5 FM, and see some of the activities of some of these wicked people that has transpired over the period, and it's going to speak to you, all right? But we've tried to blur them, we've tried to protect, you, so you don't get too disturbed when you watch them, but they're still going to communicate to you very, very well. You can also join us, sending us voice notes. How do you feel hearing about these murders that are ongoing? How do you feel about it? Join us, send us your voice notes to 055-11-11995. Meanwhile, CBG, your most trusted bank, is standing with you. All their branches are open and poised to serve you as they enforce all safety directives for both their staff and you, their cherished customers. Walk into any of their branches and experience first-class customer service. You may alternatively use their ATMs and electronic platforms, including the star 924 hash, to get digi with it to conveniently perform banking transactions anywhere at any time. Follow them on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram at CBG Bank Limited. For further inquiries, please call them on 0302 216 000. CBG, we stand with you. Now, if you've spent, countless hours praying for showers of blessings, your miracle is here. Airtel Tigo is making the shower huge cash prizes, data, and comments in the Airtel Tigo Tugumisu promo. From now till December, people all over Ghana have begun winning awesome prizes every hour, every day, every week, and every month, with the grand cash prize of 100,000 Ghana cedis. Now, all you have to do is simply dial star 500 hash, recharge 5 Ghana cedis or more, and build up points from Airtel Tigo Money and ATM transactions, which gives you double points, recharges, bundle purchases, SMS trivia, and general usage. Now, you can also purchase points on star 500 hash via Airtel Tigo Money and ATM to boost your points. You can get even more points from the daily SMS trivia for 30 pesos, or from simply buying extra points for more chances to win big. So don't miss out. Simply dial star 500 hash and register for the Airtel Tigo Tugumisu promo for free. Charlie, don't lose guard. And note that Airtel Tigo will contact all winners with only this number, and the number is 0260 000100. Any other number somebody calls you with to tell you want something from Airtel Tigo is a scam. So, Doc, how worrying is the fact that about 80% of these murders go unresolved? And what can be done about it to improve the percentage of resolved cases?
Great. So, it's so worrying. What it means is that we are cultivating a culture of impunity in the country, where people can just take the life of people and yet will not be brought to justice. Okay, so for me, it is a very worrying trend I found based on the data that I've analyzed. And I think that it is something that everybody in this country must be worried about. Because look, crimes like murders, murders, they are the ultimate crime. Okay, so when it is occasion, all resources of the state must be brought in to seek justice for the victim and also to bring the perpetrators to book. So if we have a pattern where many people are killed in broad daylight, in cold blood, but yet the judicial process is not able to bring justice to the victims and their families so many years after the crime has been committed, it means that we have a systemic and structural problem as a country. What it also means is that we are all not safe, and anybody can just, take your life, and you will never be able to get justice. So it is something that I think that we may have to work on as a country. Our judicial process must refine. It must be able to deal with crimes, especially murders, when it is occasion. And now look, if you look at the data all over the world, David, murders compared to other crimes like robberies are very, let me say, the patterns are not so high when you compare to other crimes like robberies. But most of the time, because of the impact it has on people, okay, the families and also the society, every country sees murder as a very serious crime. Okay, so it is very important as a country we focus more on refining our approach to how we, for instance, investigate murder cases and also how we prosecute it. I was telling somebody the other time when this George Floyd issue came, look, when I compare the issue of George Floyd to what happened to Captain Adams Mahama some few years, you will see that the ingredients of the crime, about 80 to 90% of that ingredients of those kind of murders are the same. One, they were all captured on camera. You know, they were all killed in public view. But how come that one that occurred much later, for instance, the George Floyd one occurred quite recently, yet the judicial process in the U.S. have been able to secure justice for George Floyd and that of his family, whilst in the case of Major Mahama, which happened some 4 years ago, we are still, you know, grappling with even the process within the court. That is so worried. So until these kind of things are solved, these structural, you know, contradictions are resolved, trust me, we will continue to have these kind of problems, especially within our judicial process, and people will continue to suffer. So for me, it is something that we have to look at as a country. We have to bring all resources to solving crimes, especially murder.
I hear you.
So that victims can get justice, so that we don't breed impunity within our society.
Well, hello, Ghana. Christmas planning has begun, and Charlie, thousands of people are already preparing to make this Christmas the biggest with help from Societe Generale Ghana. Now, the bank is giving all USG Ghana Visa card holders cash back when you spend 300 Ghana cedis or more anytime you shop. No gimmicks, no hidden tricks. Just make POS and or online payments with your SG Ghana Visa card, and voila, you get cash back sharp. Move fast, look sharp, start shopping today. Now, if you are not a customer, sign up now and get a card. For more information, just call us on 0302-214-314. Promotion ends on the 31st of January 2022. And remember, with Societe Generale's Ghana, well, the future is you. Terms and conditions apply. So thanks very much, Doctor, for joining us on the phone lines to share some knowledge with us. We'll be activating the phone lines now. And we'll hear from our listeners as well. But Doc, maybe I would ask that you hold the line for me. Maybe somebody would ask a question of you as to how he or she can stay safe out there. Is that okay with you?
Okay.
All right, so hold the line for me, Doc. Hold the line for me. And still join us on Facebook because we have some visuals we're sharing with you. And drop your comments there. What do you make of all these murders? What do you make of all these killings that is going on? What is happening to our society? 03220-83596. That is the number you can reach us on. 03220-83596, or send us a voice note to 055-11-11995. Chris, good morning.
Yeah, David, my name is Christoph, not Chris. Okay, David, I hope you are fine.
Yes, I'm well.
Yeah, David, the unresolved court cases, as far as murder is concerned, it's the reason why we are still where we are now. See the case that happened in Longo Domestic High School. The guys who were involved have been allowed to go, and they have not been allowed to go. Oh, David.
Chris, the main culprit is still in police custody. The others have been given bail. Investigations are ongoing,
and they are even contemplating to change their schools. You see, Ameswale died. In fact, somebody said the guy who shot Ameswale is in Kumasi here, roaming around. So if you don't get justice for these murder cases, these things will be happening. And then finally, the young men, the kind of things they drink. The kind of things they drink, the tramol, they read the lack kind of, so they behave abnormally.
I hear you, Chris. But Chris, if you will listen to me, if you have proved that the person who killed Ameswale is in town, report to the police, let him be arrested.
Oh, David,
thank you very much. Adams, good morning and welcome.
Thank you. Yakubu Adams from the United States of Kropo.
Yes, sir.
Dave, I would like to find out from the doc. I mean, this serial calling issue, the term serial killer, is it serial killer?
Yeah, that's how they put it.
Yeah. Is it an inborn trait or a person develops it over the time? Are you born with it or you are born as a serial killer? Or I don't understand.
All right, so he will give you an answer. Thank you very much, Ajik Madams, for calling us. 03220-83596 is the number you can reach us on. We'd like to hear from you. What do you make of all these murders? What do you make of all these killings that we've been hearing about? How does that make you feel? Join us on 03220-83596. Kofi, good morning.
Good morning, Dave. How are you doing?
I am well, Kofi.
Good. Dave, if you see the record, you could realize that the rape cases in ascendancy, and this guy, for instance, that from where you are reading from, it says that he has been convicted, or in other words, arrested for rape before. He has spent some years in prison.
Some 9 years, yeah.
He came back, and this is what he's been doing. If you go to Nigeria, for instance, they have passed a law which gives a death. In fact, they had wanted to make it a death sentence for any rapist. But they have now made it so harsh to the extent that it is not, it is something that is very deterrent. But what are we seeing now in our country? Just 3 or 4 days ago, I heard your colleagues from Joy FM giving, some analysis about the rape case that's been going on. You could put that because all this has been going on because it's not deterrent. The punishment is not deterrent enough. So I'm asking your resource person, I hope he's on the line.
Yes, he's on the line.
Given what kind of punishment could it be deterrent enough for these rapists, the rapists and pedophiles, because they do it and go scot free. So I want him to help it because to me, I think that the rapists should be, the castration should be the best. Chemical castration should be the best. Otherwise, this guy, for instance, wouldn't have, had this, audacity to come and continue his criminal activity. Thank you very much.
Well, thank you, Kofi Bedu, for joining us as well. 03220-83596 is the number to call us on. We've recorded a number of murders in our region. How do you feel about it? What thoughts do you have about it? Do you have any questions? You can join us on the lines on 03220-83596. And let's all speak about this because, listen, it concerns you, it concerns me. It can happen to any of us. We'll be playing back your voice notes in a bit, and the number to send your voice note to is 05511119995. We'll be sharing your voice notes in a bit. Emmanuel, good morning.
Good morning, David. How are you doing?
I am well, Emmanuel. Good to have you, sir. Let's hear you.
The issue at stake is that it's very disheartening. But others have mentioned that if we could have some more stepping up of the game by the police and also stringent measures, we could get there. I think that's one of the ways you can do that, if you ask me. So maybe if our authorities are listening, we could find a way, even if the citizens, we make them hear us that this should be done this way. Because, you see, even when you're walking from office to the house, you are afraid. People stab you because of your laptop, because of your phone, and sometimes, if you're not lucky, you can die off. Sometimes some even intend to kill, but it has become so normal, commonplace. So I think some stringent measures we put in place, if you are caught, and people know that if you are caught what you go through, it will calm down because it's becoming too much. You cannot just take somebody's life and just go scot-free like that. I mean, not scot-free, but like you take it and you feel like that will be done. So it's like people are encouraged to just do that.
Well, Emmanuel, thanks for joining us. 03220-83596. Kwabna, calling us from Jinyasi. Good morning.
Good morning.
Yes, sir. Welcome, sir.
David,
yes, sir.
We are not safe. You watch the way we handle crime in the country. Yesterday, when I was monitoring this story, I noticed that even when the thing was discovered, the place wasn't cordoned off because there were pieces of evidence. Because it looks like this guy is becoming a serial killer or something, and they saw ID cards and stuff in his room. So there were pieces of evidence that the police have secured and make sure they resolve all the other cases that has happened in the area. But the place was just left open. Everybody was coming in and out. You see, that is the problem. So it's like we are in a country where we don't put systematic things in place to resolve our problems once and for all. If we decide to do even crime checks and everything well, it will even create jobs for us. We are always crying that we don't have jobs, we don't have jobs. Meanwhile, these are things that can be detailed to people. and paid, and we do it properly. How can we have a whole MP murdered, and up to now we haven't been able to resolve it? And like your resource person said, compare the case in America and what we saw here, which were all captured. So it looks like we are just doing things anyhow. And the problem is that as the years goes by, things are becoming more harder. So it means we are going to get all these criminals in our midst. And because they know they can go scot-free, whatever they do, they will be more brutal. Only God saves us. Thank you.
Indeed, God save us, huh? 03220-83596. You can call us. We're talking about the murder cases in the region. How disturbed or how worried are you? 03220-83596. Stephen Wonder, good morning.
Good morning. David, how are you?
Well, I'm well. I'm okay. Thanks for asking, Stephen.
I think Lawyer Evans Amankwa, he is also well. Ghana is sick. It's totally sick. I'm telling you. In fact, insecurity is too much. At the same time, killing here, blood flow. I think somewhere Proverbs have said this thing. Proverbs says that when the wicked rule, the nation moves. It is the nation is mourning every day. If you see how the blood is flowing, killing here, killing there, killing over there. And we ask ourselves, what caused all those things? It is suffocation. When we suffer, when the native or when the people suffer a lot and cannot meet their target or not even solve their wants, we don't talk of needs. Just a single day, it makes the person just annoyed, angry, all of them, all the time. And we all know that they said that angry man is an angry man. So I'm not surprised. What the killing or the murdered, what?
Well, you might not be surprised, but I'm sure that you might be worried about it. Stephen Wonder, thanks for joining us. 03220-83596. Let's pick some 2 or so more calls, and then we go and share with our listeners the voice notes that have come through. Kwame, good morning.
How are you?
Kwame, I'm well. Good to have you, sir.
Thanks. We seem to be talking about solutions after the problems have occurred. I'm looking at the supply side. Who is giving birth to all these criminals? We are in a society where we don't control who gives birth to who. So anybody can give birth to as many as 10 children, whether the person can take care of them or not. And looking at our population growth, Charlie, we can't have enough policemen to control this. Thank you.
Well, Kwame, thanks for joining us. And another worrying concern has to do with the number of students who might not be able to make it to the university based on the WASI results that has come out. Some 45% or so will not be able to make it. Question is, if they don't find themselves some gainfully, jobs to do, some gainful employment, some of them will definitely fall into bad company and might, be creating problems for us. So we need to find ways and ensure that, they become gainfully employed. Let's speak to Innocent, who is on the line. Good morning.
Good morning, David.
Yes, sir. Innocent, let's hear you.
Okay. The issue is we have to be sending those people to the psychiatric hospital, even if they are jailed, so that when they come back, there may be some changes. And we also have an issue of unemployment. Youth of these days who don't have money have to go into these stuff so that they can fend for themselves and their families too. And here's the situation: if they go to these jails and are in prison, they will some way or the other come out free of charge because they may have some new connections with the police. So it's a total crisis in this country.
Thank you very much, Innocent, for joining us. And Doctor, we'll be asking you to give responses to the persons who called, and we're asking whether somebody is born a serial killer and whether the punishments that we're giving are punitive enough. But I'm told that we have a final call on the line. Dr. Osei, good morning.
Good morning. How are you, Dave?
I'm well, Doc.
Yeah, this is good. Father, I've been listening through the conversation and the discussion, and I must say that I've been enjoying it, especially the part of the conversation where the doctor and my colleague lecturer came to give. It's insightful, and I like the fact that he's been able to catalog so many things. And I like the fact that he also gives some solutions as to how to handle some of these cases. I'm also into these things. I'm a pathologist, and I do a lot of autopsies on some of these murder cases. But one thing is so clear, especially when it involves ladies. We seem to easily tag them, prostitutes, whatnot. And if they are young girls, then they are tagged as children who don't obey parents. They go out late and do so many things. The moment we tag these things, what it means is that we are giving the police or whoever is investigating these issues an easy way of assessing the situation and probably leave the situation as it is. That's when the doctor said that, the lecturer who just spoke to you said that most of the cases are done and then they are not resolved. Some of these things are the things that could also contribute to the nature of the cases that cannot be resolved because we tag them. I overheard as a donko that his information is that this woman is a Nigerian, she's this, he believes to be a prostitute. The moment such tag comes in there, that stigma comes in there, and then the police also relax. And it's so bad.
I hear you, Doc. Doc, for want of time, let's end it here. And I think that Erasmus, thank you very much, Doctor. I'll say something, and I'll get the voice, Doctor. I'll say something. Thank you very much. But I think that if we know of the identity of somebody and we know the kind of profession he or she might be in, we will share them. It should not deter or prevent the police from doing what is required or expected of them. But let's speak to Doctor, who also joined us, and I'm talking about Dr. Jones Opokuwari, to respond to some of the concerns that some people had. For example, Dr. Opokuwari, are you with me?
Yes.
Okay, so one of the questions was whether people are born serial killers and whether the punishments that we give out, are punitive enough.
Well, if you look at a lot of literature within the criminological field, there are a number of, explanations that have been given as why people become serial killers. In fact, there are those that attribute serial killing to people with certain traits, born traits. So if you read the work of Lombroso, he will tell you that people with certain physical features, big jaws, big eyes, crooked face, those guys are more prone to become serial killers. But over time, we also realize that certain people develop certain psychotic issues, like certain mental issues and all that. So, for instance, if you look at what happened in Abysim, the guy tells you that, look, when he's there, something comes to tell him that, look, go and do this. And he does it. Go and kill people, and he does that. So, over the period, there is a combination of factors. Some people think that certain biological traits, predisposes people to those kind of serial killing. Others also believe that in the course of life, certain social experiences, predispose people to that. And some of these things can be because somebody, when he was growing up, was subjected to a lot of abuse, when parents were always abusing the person grows, to have
some of these traits.
To inflict pain.
All right, so let's talk about punishment. Punitive enough, yes or no?
Yeah, as I said, most of the crimes that people commit in this country go unpunished. And now where do we have to exact punishment? We have to exact punishment from the judicial system.
To deter others from doing same.
And as I've told you, most of these crimes are not resolved. We see them, they arrest the suspect. The following day, 2-3 days, we see them on the street with us. We are not eliminating the bad guys off the street.
I hear you, Dr. Jones.
So, punishment, I cannot say much for it. It is not encouraging.
Dr. Jones Opokuwari, thanks for your time with us this morning. Let's now share with our listeners some of the voice notes, that have come through. Take a listen.
In a country where murderers are being pampered, you expect these things to keep happening.
Good morning.
Good morning. You see, in a country where murderers are being pampered, you expect to see more murders. You see, the capital punishment should be brought back or strengthened. People are seeing people killing people all day, and they know they're getting away with it. So how do you expect it not to keep happening? People need to be punished like severely, so that once people are used for scapegoats, others will learn from it. I think that is my opinion.
Well, she says people should be punished and punished severely. That would serve as a deterrent to others.
Good morning, Mr. David. Sometimes it's very difficult for we to resolve our murder cases because when sometimes politicians will bring themselves into murder cases to the police station, you will see that it will become very difficult. They will send the person back home and you go back to the community still doing the same thing, you see. So we have to make justice and bring the people on book.
Hello, good morning, David. My name is Angela from Apiedu. I feel it's about time we gave priority to educating the public on the need for personal safety. Because it looks like in Ghana, we take everything for granted and we feel that everybody is a good person. And so there are certain things that we are supposed to do that we are not doing. And that is why these murders are going on and on and on and on. And nobody seems to be solving it. So once we educate people on the need for personal safety, I believe that we should be able to go a long way in curbing this situation. Thank you very much.
And thank you very much for sending in those voice notes. And the point is, we've done a lot of education. We've told people how to take their own personal security seriously. Only, unfortunately, some are not, adhering to all this advice we give to them.
Yeah. Good morning, David. My name is Michael, and I think these continuous murders in the metropolis is becoming quite worrying. I am of the opinion that as a society we should be educated more on looking out for suspicious characters in our communities and report these characters to the police. We seem not to sort of care about people who we suspect as being criminals. Now, if you listen to the Pakusu case, you notice that the criminal was known in that community. Another issue is what sort of reformative measures do we have in our prison systems? Because most of the time, most ex-convicts are released and they commit the same, if not worse, crimes just to go back into jail. In fact, it's becoming worrying. God save our homeland, Ghana.
And make us great and strong. It's now time for us to cross over to Joy 99.7 for more conversations on the Super Morning Show. Well, COVID is still with us, and the new variant, the Omicron, is here. And we've been told about new measures that have been introduced to ensure that we lessen the spread. Let's join the feed now for that conversation. It's more education, more education, more education. Let's join the feed now.
Vaccinated at the airport. All right, our understanding of this is that either way, we only want vaccinated people to come into the country. These are some of the most stringent entry requirements in the world.